Yeah, thanks everyone for coming to the presentation. So mob learning with the OWASP Top 10 in 30 days of security testing. So as we're all aware, InfoSec is exciting, but how do you get started? New Zealand and the world needs more security professionals. Just about every day in the news you're hearing about a new hack, a new breach. People's data's flying around everywhere and it's just not being nailed down as well as it should be. There's a lot of opportunity available. There's more jobs going than there are people, but for whatever reason, people aren't getting involved. So when you're looking at InfoSec as a employment option, most people see that. It's a giant mountain, something unscalable, something unachievable. So how do we fix this? How do we make InfoSec more conversational, more fun? A bit about myself. I'm currently a software tester for Erudite Software. We specialise in healthcare more than anything. I come from a non-technical background. Prior to testing, I was bartending, I was in sales roles, and most recently I was a communications warfare specialist for the New Zealand Navy. That particular role was sort of painted as IT on the high seas, but there's still a way to go. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, but yeah, there's a lot of sort of legacy technologies that they're using, like HF radio, even flag hoist, that sort of thing to pass messages between ships. So yeah, I was looking to get into IT in some degree, but that wasn't quite there. So yeah, as I said, I was always interested in IT, but maths was never my strong point. So whenever I looked at coding languages, I just saw a lot of numbers, and it was a bit sort of daunting. So yeah, I was looking at ways to make it more achievable. So how to get started in software? Well, as mentioned previously, I was in the Navy, everything was going well, I was on track to get promoted, and yeah, the job wasn't exactly what it said on the tin, but I was enjoying it and learning lots. Then, I was going to be a father. About the same time, I found out I was going to be taking this to there for about 8 months. So yeah, the frigates were going over to Canada for an upgrade. So you can sail over there, park up, pull everything apart, put it back together, sail back. So obviously that wasn't going to work all that well with my plans on expanding the family. I did some research and it didn't look that great. There were families that do it. A lot of families don't. A lot of relationships break up. A lot of other ones, there's a bit of a bitter undertone because work comes first. And so that got me thinking what to do. So initially I talked to management and said, look, I can't do that. I miss the birth, I miss everything. And turned down the deployment, which is a really good way to get popular. Not. So they put me on for another mission, and that was going to be popping around Southeast Asia doing war games for about 5 months. Again, not ideal, so I said, is there anything else? Again, getting less and less popular by the minute. And the last one was going to be sailing across to Australia to drop the army off to play war games in the sand and yeah, park up for 3 months. So I thought, I can't expect the Navy to change for me, so I have to change my role. I have to move on and get into something where I can see my family grow up. So I was always interested in IT, just didn't know how to start. Recently in my training, I'd done my CCNA networking, so I thought that was okay, but I couldn't see a happy career playing Cisco routers my whole life. So I asked around. I said, does anyone know anyone running a IT company that I could talk to and get some advice? Excuse me. So I spoke to, spoiler alert, my current boss, Murray, and said, hey, I'm looking at breaking into IT. These are the things I've done, this is the experience I've had. So all the non-technical stuff, a little bit of networking, a little bit of IT, like hardware troubleshooting, that sort of thing. And he said to me, well, have you ever thought of software testing? I said, I didn't realise that was a job in itself. I thought it was like a developer task. surely you guys are writing programs and you test it at the end. So, oh, yeah, yes and no. So he said, okay, well, if you're interested, we'd love to have you on board. So I thought, great, let's look into software testing. What's the job entail? And boom, there it is again. So, okay, so I've got 3 months 3 months notice to leave the Navy. I was working shifts at the communication station. So I used the time to study up and think about how would I get into testing. So like most people in my position, I looked at what certifications are available and required. I looked at what courses would help me, what qualifications I'd need to get a similar role. Being that I had 3 months, I couldn't jump in and do a computer science degree or sort of anything that in depth. So I went down certification path and I looked into the ISTQB Certified Foundation Tester Level certification. Got that, and it was great. Turned up for a first stand-up, and the development team were speaking a completely different language to me. I didn't know what was going on. I could tell them what regression testing was, or integration testing was, or all these wonderful things all these wonderful definitions that I'd picked up, but there was nothing actually relevant to the role. So, whoops. So I thought of going a different approach, and for this presentation, I was tossing in turn between metaphors. So I went for the mountain. I wasn't sure if I was going to go for the climbing and possibly high mountain, or the old cliche of how do you move a mountain one stone at a time. So I figured, you guys are smart, I'll use both. So if you're going to climb a mountain, you should talk to mountain climbers and those familiar with mountains. You're going to find people that have made it to where you want to be and talk to them. You're going to follow them on social media, read their blogs, soak up as much knowledge as you can, and then talk to them. Say, hey, I thought it was really great what you said about that. That was really interesting there. Can you clarify that? Make it clear that you want to learn and that you put the effort in, and learn how they got started. And most importantly, listen. So if you swap to the other metaphor of how do you move a mountain, one stone at a time, you have to identify the stones in the mountain and share the load. It's a bit cliche, but break them down to SMART goals, the specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound, and also make your goals accountable. And then climb with others. Find other like-minded people that want to learn with you and learn together. Learn from their experiences, their backgrounds, and learn by teaching others. I found this is really useful. And this was all as a result of, I found some mountain climbers. I listened to the Ministry of Testing podcast, the Super Testing Bros. They were a local podcast. It was really enjoyable. They've since stopped recording, but you can get all their stuff online. And I was invited on to their podcast to speak with Dan, James, and Tom and set some goals. So they said, what do you want to learn? I said, well, I'm quite keen on, I'm new to software testing. And they said, oh, what parts of testing interest you? So I sort of sat back and thought, well, I guess security testing is quite cool, like hacking and that all looks pretty cool. You know, we've seen it in the movies. You run along, smash some keys, run out the next one. So I thought, yeah, that looks really great. So they went, okay, so the mountain suddenly got smaller. Then they took the mountain, broke it into even smaller parts, and said, okay, so how about, to get a base understanding of software testing, look at the OWASP Top 10. I said, okay, great. So I learned what the OWASP was. And looked into the top 10 and set myself the task of learning the top 10 within 10 weeks and posting my findings on a blog, which was new as well. Never sort of written online or done any of that. And I found that was really, really useful, where I could read something and understand it, but then when you're going to explain it to someone else, you tend to get a deeper understanding and sort of frame things in a way that other people can pick up. In particular, I quite like this one that me and my wife came up with. So this is how I learned. This is how I can rattle off the top 10. Irritable bowel syndrome, external bowel syndrome, crying in your intestines. So injection, broken authentication, sensitive data exposure, external XML entities, broken access control, security misconfiguration, XSS, so on and so forth. And they got a bit of feedback as well, so people enjoyed that. So this was really helpful for me to get a really high-level understanding of the OWASP Top 10. I'm not an expert in any of this by any means, but I know enough to be able to hold a conversation with people. And that's really where I wanted to start. So I can go back to my I stand up, and I can kind of follow along. I know what's going on, then I can participate, and then I can learn more and be more useful to the company. So that worked out really well, and I found it was really useful to myself. So I thought a little bit further and thought there must be more people in my situation that are interested in learning about security testing but don't know where to start and are too shy or embarrassed to ask questions and look silly on the internet. So I went to find some more mountain climbers. And there's a global organisation called the Ministry of Testing, and our local variant at the time was called WeTest New Zealand. WeTest has since been taken on board by the Ministry of Testing, and there's now the Ministry of Testing Auckland and Wellington chapters. So there's a wealth of knowledge there. There's a whole lot of people that are interested in testing, and there are channels and blogs and feeds of security testing, so there's a lot of information there. But I thought, and then how would I share the information? Well, we went to WeTest Slack channel, opened up a channel and said, look, we're going to be looking into security testing. Who's interested? And we had about 150 people sign up to that particular channel, and together we went back to the Ministry of Testing and borrowed their 30 days of security testing task list. So again, this is a really powerful tool to get a high level knowledge of security testing, and it's an easy one to spread around your organisation. So if you find that you're the sole security guy or girl at your organisation, and you want to get people more aware of what's happening and what to look out for, tools like this are really, really useful. So the original Ministry Testing Challenge was, as the name suggests, run over 30 days. We found that it was quite full on doing a task every day around work and life and study and family commitments. So rather than that, we just don't want to type on the weekends. So we broke it down to just 5 challenges a week. And we announced it to our group. I said there's no pressure to complete anything. You don't have to do them in any particular order. The whole point of it is that you're learning and sharing your results. Along with the 30 days of security testing challenge, where WeTest members were invited to find resources, share them, collaborate, and talk about what they've learned and what they've found, and ask questions about other people's findings. We ran a series of meetups. So we had a lunchtime meetup, we had a series of lunchtime meetups, and 2 evening meetups went really well. They both sold out, well, they all sold out, and were really well received. So if you're looking to include other members of your team in InfoSec and AppSec, open the doors to them. Break it down into smaller sort of bite-sized chunks that people can look into and digest, and support them. It was really helpful having an open forum where people can ask questions without feeling silly. So the other great thing about mountains, so they look quite impossible from a distance, but they can be beaten. Okay, so I'd like to say thanks to a few people that were involved, Murray and the team at Erudite for giving me the time to come in and supporting me through learning and helping me out. Dan, James and Tom from Super Testing Bros podcast. Brandon, Santosh, Aaron, Teresa and Rasha from WeTest. So Brendan and Santosh weren't part of WeTest, but they were external InfoSec experts, and they were really, really helpful with their insight in the Slack group. We had some members of WeTest, so Swapna, Prachi, Jasmine, Ali. They were all took part from being beginners, and they walked away feeling really good about all this. Francois Marais from Defend ran the lunchtime meets, and that was all really well received and really useful. And we also had Shofi Moraes from ZX Security and Jeremy Stott from Vend. Jeremy did a fantastic meetup while he was there earlier on hardware hacking, where he was able to put together a device that could open proximity sensor doors from the other side of the window, and was able to sort of demonstrate all that in front of us, which was really cool. So it made InfoSec and AppSec exciting and interesting. So. Cool. Okay, well, thanks for your time. Is there any questions surrounding any of that?